What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a good day, good evening, good morning. Let's get in the chat. Everybody say hi. Rich says he just woke up. So either it's morning or you sleep weird hours. The music just stopped suddenly. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. This is our week where we're talking. So every other week I try and do opposite talking and editing kind of thing. So this week we're talking. Welcome to Jared, Travis, Chad, Rich. Ricky's in here. We got all sorts of people. Anand is in here. Says, my live streaming just rocks. Well, thank you so much. Larry's here from Ontario. Ricky, this is the first time you made it to a YouTube live stream on time. If you guys are just getting in here, do me a favor and hit that like button so that it tells YouTube and the YouTube gods to go share this live stream with some other people so we can get some more people in here for the party so we can chat. And if you guys got questions, make sure you get them ready. I'm going to try and keep up with the chat as best as I can. And you know what to do if you want your question to pop up on top to make sure that I get to it. All you got to do is bribe me with some coffee money via a super chat. But that's not necessary if you don't want to. Just if you want to, you know? We got some people in here from India. We got B-Roll and Abigail in here. They changed the channel name. John Donaldson. What's up, John? Brenda, welcome. Joel's here. What's up, my man? I'm going to need that haircut pretty soon. I might need your help. Travis in the house. Albin. How long are these streams generally? My track record says 2 hours, but I do want to keep this one a little bit shorter tonight. Hey, Rachel. Welcome. Sunil's in the house. Nico's here from Buenos Aires. Did I say that right? I don't know. If you guys don't know, I'm from Edmonton in Alberta in Canada. Alberta, Canada is pretty much everybody's favorite place to go to the most beautiful mountains in the world. Unfortunately, I don't live super close to the mountains. I'm like 5 hours away from them drive, which is like obviously is like still super close, but it's just far enough that you can't just head there in the morning and like have a little day trip. Like you got to make a big thing out of it. Mr. Camera Junkie's here. No Dunna curve today. Isaac's in the house. Diogo from Portugal. I really want to go to Portugal at some point in my life. Ricky says he wants to go to Alberta so bad. It's beautiful here. You gotta come check it out at some point once it makes sense, once it's safe. Chabby says, hello, Dunna. How are you, man? I am doing well. I'm having a good day. I spent the entire day working on my review of, I don't know where I put it, the Fujifilm X-T4. Here it is. Can you guys hear that motorbike outside? I spent my entire day finishing the edit for the Fujifilm X-T4 review. I'm very excited about the video. I'm more excited about the video coming out on Monday than I am about the camera itself. Which is super funny, but I put a lot of effort into this. This video specifically took me probably twice as long as most of my other videos do. So, Brenda says, I have a question for you. I own a Sony a7 III and I'm having problems when I download my RAW. I cannot see it. Why? I need more information. Where are you downloading your RAW to? Because you have to download it. It has to be opened by a program that can open RAW files. They should be .arw files. You'll need to open it with something like Adobe Lightroom or Photoshop or something along those lines that can handle raw files. Mac OS, if you're using a Mac, you can preview raw files, which is nice. But I don't know if that's true also on Windows, because I don't use Windows ever. I haven't used Windows in like 17 years. No, I am not switching to Fuji. And actually, we're gonna talk about that a little bit today. Today's theme is switching, and the idea of switching between cameras, the idea of switching between software, the idea of switching coffees, you know, those kinds of things. And you guys will get a chance to ask questions about whether I'm switching stuff. I've been finding lately that I'm trying out a lot of new stuff. And then of course you have to make the decision like, okay, I tried this out. Did I like it enough to make a more permanent switch to that thing? And what are the pros and cons of that? So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit today. Trying to catch up with the chat, letting people get in here. Albin says, never been to Edmonton. I've been to Calgary and Banff a few times. Can't wait to go again. Banff is the place, man. It's beautiful there. We got some questions going on. Oh, the chat jumped on me. What's going on? City Lights, Mike is here. What's up, man? How are you? I'm trying to find... I answered Brenda's question there, but I'm not sure. Mr. Camera Junkie said, Dunna, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. Cheers to you. Some coffee. This is too hot to drink at this point. I literally made it like a minute ago because I always forget that I'm like, it's coffee break with Dunna. I'm going to need a coffee or it's not going to make any sense. I also have my 0-calorie root beer type drink as well for when I run out of coffee. All right, I'm going to try and catch up in the chat here. How do you get picked for that? I'm not sure what you're asking there. Be more specific, please. Thoughts on users switching from Sony to Canon because of the R5? I mean, if it's as amazing as they're claiming it's going to be, then that's going to... A lot of people are going to switch if they can afford it. I heard something today that said like it was going to be like $6,000 US or something like that, which is like, that's a pretty penny. So, I mean, if you can afford it. Ashanti says, hey, Dunny, do you know how to afford camera gear as a teen? Get a job if you can. Yeah, like when I was a teenager, I started a lawn mowing business and I worked at the local movie theater, like money in to put money out, I guess. All right, I'm going to start babbling about switching here. I got a super chat here from Sled Boss Productions. Dunna and Gerald Undone are the two holy gods on YouTube. I don't know if I go that far, but... All right, so what I want to talk about today, like I said, is the idea of switching. Now, obviously, if you've been following me on my social media, those kinds of things, I've been talking about Final Cut Pro a lot, and most people know me as a Premiere user. I'm in the Adobe world. I know those programs. I use Lightroom, I use Photoshop, I use Premiere. I don't use Audition because I'm also a recording producer. I'm a music producer and I use Pro Tools, so I don't like Audition because I'm not used to it. But lately I've been trying out, they have a 90-day free trial of Final Cut Pro right now. They've extended it from the normal 30 days, so I thought this would be a good time, since I'm stuck at home a lot, to test it out. I've done the last 5 videos that you guys have seen on my channel, all in Final Cut Pro. I'm learning the ins and outs. I am trying my best to use it like it's intended to be used. And this is something that on Twitter, every time I say something about Final Cut Pro, I get a lot of messages of people who are just like, you're using it wrong. And they're making assumptions about the way that I'm using it that just aren't true. And it makes me want to explode, but that's besides the point. I've been trying it out and I've been really enjoying it. But the biggest question that I get as much as any other question when I talk about new gear or new software or whatever it is are you switching? Now, first of all, I want to say something is that you can use multiple things. So, for example, with the idea of software, like if I do end up, let's say at the end of the trial, I decide to pay whatever it is, a couple $100 to get Final Cut Pro and have my own copy of it. Chances are I'm probably not going to be fully switching to Final Cut Pro. I'm not going to be just only using Final Cut Pro exclusively. I'm not now. I have work that I have to do using Premiere Pro and the things that I do with that, because the work is on a timeline and that kind of stuff, and I can't be fiddling around with things that I don't understand fully. Even if I did get a copy of Final Cut Pro, likely I wouldn't be switching to Final Cut Pro. I might use it for certain applications. I see it as a really helpful thing for vlogs. I think would be really awesome to edit in Final Cut Pro. I did, as part of the video that's coming out Monday, as part of the XT4 review, there's a sponsor segment in the middle of it, and I did like a little narrative thing where I'm playing a couple of characters and I wrote a little script and all that kind of stuff to do the sponsor segment. And I found it really weird to edit narrative stuff in Final Cut Pro because of the way that it's laid out and because of the way that it's designed to be used. I found that really odd. Whereas like I knew that in Premiere, I could have laid it out really quick and chopped it down in an hour or something. It probably took me 4 in Final Cut Pro. And that's not for not knowing the program. I've been using it daily for 30 days now and like diving in, like to the point where at this point, the people that I know that use Final Cut Pro that I'm going to for advice, I'm showing them tips and tricks now, because I've gone in so far that I know all these little intricacies, and that's the kind of the way that I think, is like I really want to learn something from the inside out, so that I can make sure that I'm not missing out on anything or any opportunities or any shortcuts or ways to make my workflow better. So I've really been diving in and I have been enjoying it. But like I said, the thing with the narrative, doing like kind of more of the story-based stuff, and I did a couple of different angles for each shot, so I had to go through the script a couple of times from each character's point of view because I was changing the camera and that kind of stuff. That was actually weird to edit. I didn't find that was intuitive, whereas the stuff that I normally do, the like talking head with the B-roll over it, that stuff works really well. Super easy in Final Cut Pro, potentially even easier than in Premiere. Once you get used to the workflow in Final Cut. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll be switching to Final Cut, but it does mean that chances are, if I do get a copy of Final Cut that I pay for, I'll probably use it for certain things, maybe for vlogs or for my YouTube videos or whatever. And then if I have more narrative stuff, I'll probably use Premiere Pro or whatever. And I'm building a kit mostly. Now, that being said, you know, not everybody can afford to have all of those things all at the same time. So you do have to make decisions and stuff, and switching can be a giant pain. So things like the Final Cut Pro trial right now are something that you can totally hop on to try and make sure that you're learning and give you a chance to decide. It's awesome that these companies have these trials so that you can do that. And that's why I wanted to take advantage of this one from Apple. So that's kind of my Final Cut Pro story right now. I do want to make a video on my experience, and I have a list of things that I like and a list of things that I don't like about it, and so on and so forth. But I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything first, because if I make this video about Final Cut and I'm like, hey, this is what I really like about it and this is what I don't like about it, and then the comments will just be like, you're doing this wrong, like this actually isn't a problem because you're just like, you don't have this setting turned on. It's like, I want to make sure that I know all my stuff really well before I make that video. So, but it is coming. Like I said, I'm not planning a full switch at this point, but I am quite liking it for certain types of things. All right, I'm going to catch up on the chat here and then we'll talk some more. Rich says, are you editing photos? Not today, man. Every other week. So I do one week where I edit photos and then another week where I just chat about something. You guys can ask questions and that kind of stuff. I'm way behind on the chat. Joel says your tutorials are so helpful. Thanks with the super chat. Thanks, man. Cheers. Thank you for the coffee money. All right. Eli says, hey, I'm looking for headphones to get for video editing and playing MIDI keyboard. Recommendation for flat tuned yet immersive sound. ATH Audio Technica ATH M50. I have them around here somewhere. I don't know where they are. ATH M50. They might be the M50X now. I have the old ones, the M50s, and they're great. I just keep replacing the ear cups on them because they fray a little bit, or like the material on them comes off. Barath says, what do you think is Final Cut better than Premiere Pro? Because Final Cut is very Mac optimized. So this is something that I'll probably talk about when I do finally get around to making a video about the two, about trying Final Cut and stuff. And again, I kind of touched on this. I think that they have different strengths. I do like the flow of editing in Premiere better. It's more intuitive to me in the way that I like to work. And not just because I'm used to it either. Like, I made sure that I wouldn't say anything about that until I felt like I got used to the way that Final Cut's supposed to be used, and I do feel like I'm there now. Like, I can rip through it pretty quick. Obviously I'll keep getting better and stuff like that, but the workflow in Premiere just makes sense more easy in my brain. And I picked up Premiere in like a day. I picked it up so fast because it's so, to me, it just is so intuitive, whereas Final Cut's taken a little bit longer for me to get used to. But that said, like you mentioned, Final Cut is optimized really well for Mac, so it does run smoothly. Although the whole thing about people saying it doesn't crash, like, I get just as many freeze ups on Final Cut as I ever got on Premiere. So it maybe doesn't crash, like full on crash as much, but it like locks up quite a bit. Everyone's like, I guess I work it really hard. Eli says, why aren't there more people considering DaVinci? There are tons of people considering it. I'm probably gonna try it afterwards, after I feel like I've got a hold on Final Cut. I just want to know them all and maybe be able to teach tutorials and stuff on all of them. And yeah. Nebula says, I run a music production channel. I can feel you. Trying to edit audio in any movie editing software feels weird. It's so weird. I hate doing audio in video editing software. Can you guys hear the music okay? Completely Corey is in the building. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. We got 60 people in here. If you guys haven't already, please give a big thumbs up on this live stream so it tells people to come hang out with us. Do you have a music degree? What do you play, produce? I don't know if that question was for me or not. I have a diploma, a college diploma. I don't know if that's a thing in the States. We have like 2-year diplomas here. So I have one of those in record engineering. What am I saying? Audio engineering. And then I also have a diploma in music with a major in drum performance. And then I have another diploma in music with a major in composition. And I own a recording studio, and that's my full-time gig. AAA Pro says, I've got a question. I'm almost done with school and looking at getting a camera, both photographer and videographer. Would jumping in with the Canon R5 be a good idea? Questions about the Canon R5 are purely hypothetical right now because no one knows anything about it. Let's just say that. Like, we know what they tell us the specs are, but what are the limitations that might be on that? How much does it cost? Like, that kind of stuff. It's purely a mystery at this point. So it sounds awesome, but I have a funny feeling like it's going to be very expensive if you can afford it. And if it is awesome, then that's great. But just like jump in with whatever you think makes the most sense for you. The thing that people don't realize, or that they don't want to realize about cameras, is that they all do the same thing. They all take photos and they all make videos. So just grab the one that you think makes the most sense for you and get out there and work on your craft. Rachel Simmons says, who do you watch on YouTube? I watch a lot of people. Becky and Chris are one of my favorites and really good friends of mine now. Chris Howe, Lizzie Pierce, Lucy Martin, Sydney DeYongson. There's a musician named Mark Rubier who does like these live stream crazy things. He's a little crude, but he's fun to watch. So, I don't know who else I'm watching nowadays. There's lots of them. Like I watch probably all the same guys you guys watch. Yeah, it's a lot of fun on YouTube. It's a really cool community. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to start doing these live streams, because it's just such a good community, and this is a way to directly kind of connect with you guys. So Andy Hallbeck's in the house. Greetings from Australia. Either I'm crazy or you have a channel that I watch. Either that name is like so close. Andy, do you have a channel where you talk about Sony stuff, right? And you're also a musician. You make your own music for your stuff. Am I totally crazy on that? I'm bad with the names and stuff. I know everybody from their profile pictures. So when people change their name or their profile picture, I just I don't know who you are. Completely Corey says, are you in Canada? I am. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Mike wants to know if I want to buy his TV. No thanks. I have one. Rich wants to know if I've got any big plans for the 100K milestone I'm about to hit. I'm trying to put something together, something that I can kind of give back to you guys and get you all amped up and creating and stuff too, but nothing solid yet. The big thing that I'm going to do at this point is probably order a pizza. If the growth continues as it has, it should be sometime next week, maybe. I don't know. Tell all your friends. Tactical Traver says, I always say cameras are just tools, no different than a hammer. Amen. Cameras are just tools, and tools have different functions, and so tools are important, but you can often do the job without having necessarily the fanciest tool. Yeah. Eli says, what kind of white noise can I put in talking head videos so they sound less awkward and more professional when someone pauses speaking? Get room tone. When you're recording, get room tone and put it in there. Yeah, the pros will tell you how important room tone is. If you don't have some, I think you can download it, probably. I'm sure there's like a library of room tone somewhere. I'm sure I have some on my computer somewhere. But yeah, room tone. You don't want to. You can put white noise in there. I know some people that do that, and they duck it in and out when it's needed. But if you have room tone, that'll work even better. And all room tone is like a 30-second loop of a silent room, because a room has its own sound a little bit. It kind of sounds like white noise, and so you put a little bit of that in. Mr. Camera Junkie says, I agree, that's why I started my channel, to give back to the community. That's awesome. It's cool to really connect with people. Andy says, I hope you watch my channel when I launch. Okay, so you're not the person that I'm thinking of. I really wonder who that is. That's so funny. Brenda says, I currently use photos on my Mac laptop to download them. Gotcha. Okay, so if you're using if you're using, oh yeah, you have a Sony camera, so you're gonna want to just plug it in. You're gonna go to the untitled, it'll pop up, and then there'll be like, I think it's called DCMI or something. There's like a folder in there that's full of all your photos. You just want to like drag them into a folder somewhere. You don't want to use the Photos app. I hate the Photos app. Completely Corey says, I'd love to see a lens on a hammer. Oh man, I baby my stuff. It gets dusty, but that's about it. I'm not going to get a hammer anywhere near my lenses. Nico says, your Lightroom presets are great. It's helping me to learn how to use the editing program. Hello from Greece. Thanks so much for picking up the Lightroom presets. I should be coming out with my 2020 pack sometime in 2020. I always want to release them early in the year, but I never get around to it for some reason. They always end up being a summer pack, so there you go. It is what it is. Tad wants to know, what lights would you recommend for videography in an open room for cooking videos and whatnot? Plus, I have the Sony a6400, so crop sensor, if that makes any difference. I mean, the aperture lights are just such, I know they're going to seem expensive, especially if you're just starting out. They're going to seem like they're expensive. I remember when I first started and I wanted to spend like a couple $100 on a camera, and I picked up the A6000 and I was like, this is so much money. And then like you get into it and you realize that there's so much more, and lighting is one of those places. So where like, you know, you don't expect it to cost a lot because you're like, they're just lights, you know, and then you find out that like professional lights cost like thousands and thousands of dollars. And aperture is just the perfect balance of like giving you real pro lights at what are, if you compare them to the industry, really reasonable prices. They're going to seem expensive if you're like looking on Amazon and stuff like that, because there's some cheap lights on there. But I really, really highly recommend aperture lights. If you can't afford that, check out Falcon Eyes and check out Pixel. They make some, like this guy here that I'm using to do my blue background. It's just got a gel on it, but they make some like reasonably cheap LEDs that like look pretty good. And they're useful. Like, I mean, I'm using an Aperture 300D up as my key light, and then a 120D in the back. So there's just the background light, and then we got my hair light slash, you know, rim light kind of thing, and then I got my key light up front. Aperture. Not sponsored. I think I saw Ryan in here. Ryan Cow, what's up, buddy? Missed that guy since Camera Camp, which was the first time we met. Man, I was talking to somebody about Camera Camp the other day. Just, I want to go back. It was so much fun. Sunil says, I shoot HLG on my A7 III. Do I need to get a Rec 709 LUT then to edit them? Not technically, no, but it can be very helpful to get like an HLG to 709 LUT. So what's happening there is you're shooting. It's hard to explain. Anyway, basically you're squishing the dynamic range into a smaller space, and then you wanna push it back out. But you can just do it with using the curves and stuff like that. You don't have to have a LUT. Yeah. You guys are bumping in the chat here. Tactical Traver says Godox S1's SL60W isn't bad. Yeah, as an aperture competitor. I think they made a newer one that might be even better. Gerald did a good video on it. I haven't used it yet though. I don't even need to answer you guys' questions. You guys are helping each other out. Ryan says, miss it so much. Yeah, Camera Camp, man, that was so much fun. Hopefully the world can go back to normal and we can all travel again. Paul was there. Paul's in the chat. I can't keep up with you guys. Hank wants to know, can we discuss COVID or keep it camera related? I mean, I don't know. Let's get back. I'm going to get back on track here because I've been just answering questions, which I'm happy to do. But I'm going to get back on the idea of switching. So I talked before about switching software, which is one thing, you know, because like, for example, for me to switch software, I have the subscription for Adobe stuff, and I could switch over to Final Cut if I wanted to, just by paying a one-time thing. You can buy software and you can have multiple softwares and stuff like that, but a bigger investment would be switching from camera companies. And like I said earlier, I was finishing up my review of the Fujifilm X-T4. And I mentioned when I did my review of the X-T3 that at that point, that was the closest I had ever been to considering switching. Now, yeah, it's a tough thing. Now, this time I'm not really tempted. The X-T4 is, first of all, is an amazing camera. My video comes out on that on Monday, so you can see everything that I think about it there. But yeah, like it's not as tempting this time to switch as much as it is an amazing camera via specs. I am kind of getting used to the full frame look. And I am getting used to the wider stuff. So that's why it's less tempting now than it was back then. When I did the X-T3 review, I was shooting on the A6500, and the X-T3 and the A6500 were like, in my opinion, neck and neck. Like the X-T3 had it on specs, but the A6500 had IBIS, and I prefer the layout of buttons and stuff like that on the Sony. So, but switching cameras or brands like that is, you have to always consider that it's not just like, I'm going to sell my Sony and I'm going to pick up a Fuji. It's like a really big process, because there's the learning curve that you have to go through. Like when I get a camera like this, like every time Fujifilm Canada sends me a review loaner, like I gotta send this back in a week, I have to go through this crazy process to try and learn Fuji cameras as fast as I can so that I can give it an honest review and be like fair about it, because I could say a lot of bad things about it that are more related to me not knowing the camera than they are about the actual camera itself. So I have to like go through this crazy learning curve to try and learn the camera, and at the end of it, I still feel like I don't know it, because I've been shooting Sony for so many years, and every year that I shoot Sony, I get further embedded into it, and it's less likely that I'm going to change. Now, that's not to say that I don't also really like Sony cameras. If you guys saw my video from this week, it was called Why I Hate Sony Cameras. But at the end of it, I talk about why I also love them and why I shoot them, even though there are some shortcomings, and all cameras have shortcomings. But really, really, like there's a big process to switching. It's not just sirens. I live downtown now, so lots of sirens. Anyway, I'll get this a little closer so maybe you guys can hear me better. But yeah, so like there's a huge process, and it's not just like a financial thing. Can you afford the new camera? Are you able to sell the old one? But you have to consider that, like, if you have any work that needs to get done using the camera, like for me, it's like I can't just buy a new camera and sell all my old stuff right away, because I'm going to need to make a video every week. So I have to, if I was going to buy a new camera, I'd have to buy the new camera, keep all my old stuff, keep shooting videos with the old stuff, but make time to learn the new stuff until I feel comfortable making the videos on the new stuff. So if I was to, let's say the R5 is just like insane and I just like have to have it, and somehow I scrounge up $6,000 or whatever it's going to cost, probably like 7,500 Canadian. You know, like if I was able to do that, I'd still have to hold on to all my Sony stuff. I can't just sell it, because I need to, I do this, you know, and I want to connect with you guys, and I want to make my videos every week and that kind of stuff. So, there is more of a process. Like people just think like, oh, whatever the best camera is, you just switch. And that's just, in my experience anyway, that's just not how it works. And I see A lot of channels that are just switch a lot, and I mean, maybe they just know all the ecosystems better than I do, and they can pick up the menus better because they've just used more. But like, that's a huge part of it for me, is like what I'm used to and what I like. And I picked Sony for some very specific reasons, and they haven't let me down yet. They've got their shortcomings, but Photo Finn's in the building, says, "Hey Dunna, how are you? I'm doing well. Thanks so much for hanging out, man, for coming out." If you guys are just joining us, we're talking about switching today. I already went through talking about the idea of switching software, the idea of switching cameras a little bit. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'm gonna try not to make this a 2-hour long live stream today. But if you guys have any questions about switching or camera gear or whatever, at this point we can basically just dive into whatever you want. Someone wants to know if we can discuss COVID. Let's try not to. It's depressing. Paul says the idea of switching is expensive. It is expensive. Jeez, these sirens. Here, you guys want to go for a ride? Whoa. I'll be right back. Yo. I just had to close my window. Close my window. It's hot in this room, so I have my window open, but all the sirens are killing me here. All right, what was I talking about? Paul says people don't think about the full cost behind camera body, like lenses, memory cards, etc. Oh my gosh, that's another thing that's huge. Is like on all of my cameras, I have L brackets, and I have custom cages and all this kind of stuff that are built specifically for the cameras. I have a lineup of lenses that you guys probably heard about in my last live stream where I was talking about them. It's big. It's so much more than just the, if this R5 is $6,000 or whatever, you're not just in it for $6,000. You're in it for probably closer to 10 when all is said and done. If you want like a really killer lens lineup and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, crazy. Brenda said she's got to go later. I'm sure you're already gone. I'm getting caught up in the chat. Rich says, I've always heard you marry the glass and date the body. So when you're looking for the best, you find the best glass and then find the best body that fits those. That can be true. It's a little tough right now because so many companies have new mounts and stuff like that. So they're, new glass and you're using adapters, which sucks, and that kind of stuff. Mr. Cameron Junkie says, it's all about the lenses for me, and then the chat jumped on me. There we go. It all has to do with the lenses for me. I was able to move to Sony because I was able to adapt my Canon glass during the transition. There you go. Yeah, Sony has some of the best adaptability as long as you're not really, really dependent on autofocus. John says, any advice for hitting the lottery so I can buy all the gear? Choose all the numbers. You can't lose. Have I ever thought of building a PC for better performance, such as rendering times, export times? You can build a $2,500 PC which outperforms a Mac Pro in a flash. Macs are so expensive. I have thought about it. Speaking of switching, I've definitely thought about it, and I can't let go of my my Mac OS. I don't want to go to Windows. The couple of times that I've had to like sit at a Windows computer and like try and find something, I just really don't like it. It feels clunky. It looks bad. I don't like it. Even the more modern Windows stuff where they try and make it look nice, I just don't like it. But maybe a Hackintosh someday. But yeah. I'm seeing the same question or you guys are asking the same question. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but somebody asks, hey Dunna, because of the switching ideas, you notice any changes in your shooting style from the normal videographer to more to a cinematographer, or more are you into lighting and composition? I'm not 100% sure what you're trying to ask there. Like, am I thinking more like a cinematographer? If you can try and type that question up and just word it a little bit different, I'll try and answer it for you. And if I'm missing anyone's questions, the chat's going by fast. If I'm missing anyone's questions and you guys want to pop it up to the top, there is always the option to donate a little bit of coffee money, and I'll see your question up at the top there. No pressure to do that if you don't want to. I think, doing okay catching your questions today, but I do take bribes, and I love coffee. All right. How about switching to vintage glass? See, now that's the thing, like, too, like, the reason that I haven't mentioned switching lenses is because I switch lenses like 6 times a day. You know, like, I have some vintage glass and I use it when I want to use it, but I don't think I would ever like fully switch to vintage glass if there's no point in only using vintage glass, really. Like, there's no point in limiting yourself to that. Zach says, about to buy a A6400, but the adapter to fit my Canon lenses, any ideas for that? The Sigma MC11 is supposed to be pretty good. And then the Metabone stuff I think is supposed to be pretty good, but I just don't like adapters, so I stay away from it. Thoughts on Capture One, especially with Fuji? I haven't used Capture One, so I wouldn't be the authority on that one. But I have heard that it, the way that it deals with raw files and stuff is maybe better than Lightroom, but then there are some other trade-offs and stuff. So I don't know, that's another learning a new software. Again, switching over, learning new stuff, it takes time, and it's a pain. It's huge. Like, I've been hoping to try and get like 2 videos recorded in 1 week for the last little while, but because I'm doing new videos on new gear so often and I have to like learn the gear, that takes so much of the time that I've been like barely making it. But yeah. Hey Rich, let's keep it PG in here, unless you're talking about the Queen song, but like, yeah, let's talk about cameras and stuff. All right. Speaking of switching, thoughts of Lightroom to Luminar 4. I think Lightroom and Luminar 4 are you could replace Lightroom, but I like to use it as like a secondary thing to Luminar. I did a sponsor video with Luminar a little while ago, and it's fun. It's a fun program. But I do like the workflow in Lightroom still. Maybe just because I'm used to it, but it had some cool stuff in it. But I like to use, like, I'll do a bunch of editing in Lightroom, and then I'll send the photo over to Luminar and like replace the sky or use some of the tools that are in there, because it's pretty cool. Mike is trying a new brand of coffee next week. Rampage Coffee from Saskatchewan. I just got the Instagram ad for that today. Butch says, what did I miss? We've been chatting about switching things, switching software, switching cameras, all that kind of stuff. It's a Queen song. I do like that song. You're redeemed for now. Keep it clean though. How do you usually stay motivated when you're in a rut? Is a question from John there. Take some time. That's kind of a big one that I think people don't go for. Like, they try and like force themselves out of a rut, but like sometimes you just got to take some time. Sometimes you're just not motivated, and that's okay. And just like trying not to beat yourself up is a huge thing. A couple of weeks ago, I was close to finishing a video, and I could have like pulled an all-nighter and had it up by my like Monday, my normal Monday release time, and I just didn't feel like it. I wasn't vibing it, and so I just took a little bit of time, and it was all good, you know? So, and then I made a video a couple of weeks ago about the idea funnel. Idea funnel. And the idea is to take, you can go watch the video if you want, but the idea is to take a very general idea, you know, something like, I want to take a portrait photo. You know, or you could even get bigger. I want to take a photo, and then I want to take a portrait photo, and then I want to take a portrait photo of myself, and then I want to take a portrait photo of myself on the couch, you know, and you kind of just like, you keep working yourself down, and like, you know, so you that way you're not trying to come up with the whole idea all at once. Like, I want to take a portrait photo where the, you know, of a beautiful girl with the, what is the cliche thing now with like the sprinkles on her lips or whatever, you know, like that thing. It's like, you don't have to have the whole idea all at once. You can have this like breakdown, or, you know, I want to take a photo. I want to take a landscape photo. I want to take a landscape photo of this location, blah, 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 blah. You know, you can work your way down. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Somebody says, I love this song. Thank you very much. These are straight up Dunna tunes. Hey, what about a little demo of your piano synthesizer? It's not hooked up to anything right now, unfortunately. I need to have my software up. But if you're ever interested in that, over on Facebook under Resonate Music School and Studio, every Monday I do a live stream called Home Cooked Beats with Dunna. And I just make music for an hour. So if you're on Facebook, search up Resonate Music School and Studio. That's my recording studio and school that I own, or I'm part owner of. And yeah, it's a lot of fun over there. And not enough of my photography folks are hanging out over there. You're all good, Rich. What do we got? What do we got in the chat here? You guys are, I love, one of my favorite things about these live streams is when you guys chat with each other. It makes it really confusing for me to try and find the questions that you guys are asking me and not each other, but I love seeing you guys interact and stuff. Demon Line says, do you game? I game insofar as that I found out a way to get Super Mario World on my NVIDIA Shield, and so I play that on my TV once a month for 25 minutes. That's about it. Zach Bloom says with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Zach, for contributing to my habit, which is coffee, just to make sure that you guys know my habit. Zach says, how much for you to review my Instagram? I won't do it. I get about 100 billion requests every week for people saying that they want me to critique their Instagram, and I've just had some bad experiences where I tried to be really honest with people and tried to be helpful and all that kind of stuff, and people got upset, and it just wasn't a lot of fun for me, and so I don't want to do it. So infinite amounts of money that no one could possibly have. What else do we got? Mr. Cameron Junkie says you should have questions addressed with @Dunna Did It. There we go. So if you guys wanna pop up your questions, you can tag me in it, and then I see it a little bit better. Either that, or like Zach figured out, if you do a super chat and you donate a little bit of money to the coffee fund, it pops up for me. What else do we got? Farts Photography says, what do you think about Sigma lenses compared to Sony? I use both. They definitely have like a different color to them, but every lens also has kind of a different color to it. I noticed that like I was using my two Tamron lenses today, the 17 to 28 and the 28 to 75, and even between those two, I noticed that the color shifted a decent amount between the two shots. So it's interesting. Like every lens has its own character and that kind of stuff. So, but I find that those two Tamron lenses, now I don't know a whole lot of Tamron's other stuff, but those two Tamron lenses have a decent amount of shift. Most of the Sigma stuff is fairly consistent, and most of the Sony stuff is fairly consistent, but I do notice a difference between the more expensive Sony stuff and the cheaper Sony stuff. The colors on, like, for example, the 35mm f2 or f1.8 Sony are absolutely beautiful, wonderful colors. But yeah, I don't know that I wouldn't say like one is better than the other. Sigma is certainly cheaper than Sony, better value probably, but Sony is, you know, they do make probably the best lenses for Sony cameras because they obviously have an advantage there. Hopefully that answers your question. Joshua says, "Oh shoot, I didn't know you made music too. You're a talented dude." I try to be a talented dude. That's actually my full-time job. I am a music producer. Yeah, this is the side hustle, you know? This is what I do for fun. Nader says, "I went from Canon to Sony for several reasons. Very happy now." There you go. Lots of people switching the other way. As long as everybody's happy, as long as you're happy with what you have, then I'm happy for you. Again, they're all just tools. They all do exactly what they say they're going to do, you know? So you can read the specs, you can watch the reviews and stuff like that, pick the one that looks like it makes the most sense for you, has the fewest shortcomings that are going to bug you, and then go have fun and perfect your craft. Butch says, "Where do you send photos for you to edit in the live stream?" You got to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's usually where I announce them, as well as on here on YouTube. I use the community section, and I announce it a couple of days in advance. I'll be doing that again next Thursday, so I'll announce it on Tuesday or Wednesday kind of thing, and there'll be a link in there where you can do it. John says, "Do you think the Tamron 17 to 28 is wide enough for real estate?" Yes, and that's for two reasons. One, 17 is pretty darn wide on full frame, and two, because you can always do a panorama. And actually, this is something that I didn't know until recently, is that a lot of really great real estate photographers like to do panoramas because you get less distortion than if you crank out the 12mm lens, and so you do a lot less fixing up of distortion. And since it's a completely stationary scene most of the time, you can do a panorama and get a really, really clean image out of it. Demon Lion says, "Should I try stock photography?" Yes. Why not? Try it. If you got photos, you can just submit them. Or do you mean to specifically take photos for stock photography? I mean, why not? Either way, yes. The answer is yes. Try it because it's fun. What else do we got in the chat here? I'm off the topic now of switching. If you're just joining us, please hit the little thumbs up button. We got 40. Oh, there's 48 likes on it so far. We got 55 people watching, so apparently not everybody likes the live stream so far. Jeez. Kippy's channel says, "Hey Dunna, was wondering in this current economy, where do you gain the most of my income from? Is it fully from YouTube or from your music?" Well, I mean, the YouTube is like this. But my full-time job, which is, again, I'm a music producer, I am a part owner of a recording studio and music school, that's my steady income. So it's tough to say which one is my main income, I guess, but the other one is my steady income. YouTube is all over the place, because if one month I have a sponsor on every video, I do really well, and if another month all my videos tank and nobody's buying camera gear or whatever through my affiliate links, it can be pretty dry too. So it's definitely less consistent than having a solid job, and so I'm lucky that I have both. It's nice. it puts a lot less pressure on the YouTube thing too. I can do it for a little bit more fun, but I can still tell you guys that I'd love to have some coffee money if you want to drop me a super chat and ask a question. Maybe I can buy some fancy coffee. Sunil says, Dunna, if you had to choose one lens, one camera, and one instrument to use for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? I would probably choose for the rest of my life. You can't do that to me. That's not fair. Okay, something that's out right now, I guess, like I love my A7 III. I'd probably use that. And then the Sigma 24-70. One lens. Wow, that's tough. And then one instrument. That's a tough one. Maybe this bass that's behind me. This is a Fender Jazz back here, which is funny because bass is probably like I play drums. That's kind of my main instrument. I've played guitar since I was like 13 years old, but I just really like playing bass. It's fun. That's an impossible question to fully answer with confidence. What's up, JP? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for hanging out. Eli says, John, try doing vertical panoramas. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think that's referring back to the question about interior photography. What else do we got in the chat here? We're coming up on an hour here. Roy wants to know what audio interface to use. At my studio, I use a Focusrite Liquid Sapphire 56. It's getting a little long in the tooth now. I have to use all sorts of adapters to make it work with my camera or with my computer. But yeah, I like that one. And then here I have the Focusrite Scarlett. I really like Focusrite stuff. I like their preamps. They sound really good. They're nice and clean. And the Liquid Sapphire is really cool. And then I have a bunch of other preamps and stuff like that. Yeah. Davin says, how do you stay motivated during this time? I kind of already answered that. But I take breaks and I follow my idea funnel method, which I talked about in my idea funnel video that you can search for on my channel. So yeah, that's how I do it. The song ended at a really weird time for me right there. How do you brew your coffee? I like to use the, oh, I just lost the name of it. Well, I have a Chemex, I have a pour over, I have 2 different pour overs, 3 different pour overs, and then I lost the name of it, the squishy one. AeroPress, that's the one. I have both the AeroPress and the AeroPress Go, and typically I use my AeroPress Go every day. I made this cup of coffee with the AeroPress Go. And I do like the inverted method, and it tastes delicious every time, like without fail. It's amazing. Mike wants to know when I'm going to follow him on Twitter. I don't know, man. I don't know. I stopped following so many people. I used to just follow like everybody, and I found that social media just got really overwhelming for me. A little while ago, I did an Instagram purge, and I unfollowed like 3,000 people or something like that. And I just did a Facebook purge and unfriended like 2,500 people or something like that. So I don't just follow everybody, and I unfollow people pretty regularly too. If I'm just kind of like, you're not saying anything I want to hear. We can always message though. I still chat, you know. That's the nice thing about Twitter too, is that I can just like follow the people that, you know, I want to keep tabs on, kind of thing, but I can still chat with everybody else. Like you can still respond to all my stuff, and I think most of the people that I end up going back and forth with, I might not be following. I don't even know. George Fernandez says, so to answer your question, how invested are you in Sony? would you make the same investment in the Canon line? I'm pretty invested in Sony. I have a 6400, 6600, and an A7 III, and then like 10 lenses or so. So I have a decent amount of Sony gear and batteries and grips and L brackets and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. I don't know what amount I'd put on that, but it's a lot. It would take a lot to get me to move to another company at this point. I would have to have the money in the bank to go to the other company without selling my Sony stuff. And that's where I really want to get to, is like eventually to be able to just have a little bit of like every company so I can just play with it and have fun. Yeah. Demon Line says, I want a super chat, but my mom won't let me have PayPal. You know what? You don't have to. Save that money and buy some camera gear. Getting behind in the chat here. Manuel says, Manuel? Hi Dunna, greetings from Chile again. Just want to ask on developing Sony ARW files in Capture One. Is Capture One better than Lightroom? I don't know anything about Capture One. Never used it. Actually, I might have used it once, but I haven't dove in enough to be able to tell you, so sorry. Farts Photography says, is your coffee mug from Quinn Chung? No, it is not. It's handmade from somebody in Calgary. I got it at a craft fair. I feel like you ask about my mug every time. Paul says, I don't like coffee. I like creamer with a little coffee. Well, nobody's perfect. What else do we got? Roy Christian, waiting for a Peter McKinnon collab, so we all just be confused watching you two. I get that all the time. When I first started, like, Peter was a huge influence on me. You know, when I first started my YouTube channel and that kind of stuff, and when I first picked up a camera, maybe because I connected with like who he is and stuff, because we have similar personalities or something. But yeah, I get less like, hey, you make videos just like Peter or whatever, or your photography looks just like Peter's anymore. I used to get those all the time. Now I just get, you look like Peter. I thought you were Peter for a second, which is super funny. He seems like an awesome guy. We have, I've never personally met him, but we have mutual friends and stuff, so I'm sure at some point we'll meet. Maybe there'll be a collab in the works. I was supposed to be in Toronto a little while ago, and I was hoping that I was going to get to have a coffee, but sometime. Davin Trey's little super chat there for some coffee money. Thank you, Davin. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I am getting behind in the chat. That's my catchphrase now. I'm getting behind in the chat. Sunil says, Dunna, are you a drone guy? If so, what are your thoughts on the new DJI Mavic Air 2? I'm not really much of a drone guy. I have the Autel Evo, which I really like when I do use a drone, but I just don't. The restrictions are so heavy that you just don't get to use it much, unfortunately. But the Mavic Air 2 looks cool if you're into droning. William says, love your content. Thoughts on Lightroom versus Adobe Premiere? Those Lightroom versus Adobe Premiere. I'm trying to think if there's another software that has LR in it. William, will you clarify there a little bit? Because those are two very different. Like, Lightroom is made for editing photos and Premiere is editing videos. So let me know what you're wanting me to answer there, and I'll try my best. Jake Sloan, what's up, man? Welcome. Good to see you too. Your little avatar photo there. Final Cut versus Adobe Premiere is what he meant to say. All right. I did kind of chat about this a little bit earlier. I feel like for me so far, they're very cool for different reasons. Like, I might, if I do end up picking up a license for Final Cut once I'm done the trial, I might use it for certain types of videos and then use Premiere for other types of videos. They both have pros and cons. There's definitely not a definitive like this one's better than this one. That's anyone who tells you like that definitively is obviously a Sith, because only a Sith deals in absolutes, he says, in an absolute. But hopefully that kind of answers your question. Again, they're all just tools in the toolbox. That's what it is. All right. How are you guys doing? Feeling good? Thursday night? Friday morning, maybe, depending on where you are. Demon Line says, should I use the money I saved for the super chat to buy the Affinity photo? I'm currently running on their 3-month trial. Yes. I don't know. If that's what you want. If you like it. Do you like the software? Kenneth Williams says, any recommendations for a hybrid camera under $400? You could probably find an A6000 for under $400 now. So that would be probably my suggestion. Roy Christian says, anyone here shoot Fuji? I have been for the last couple of weeks. Big XT4. Wait. Oh, it's on the other side. Dang it. There it is. I can't tell it to focus where I want it to focus. Mr. Camera Junkie says, Final Cut Pro was very stable compared to Premiere. Yes, that's one of the advantages of Final Cut Pro, is that it is optimized more for a Mac. Although I exported a video today that took just over an hour, and it was an 18-minute video. So, but I was also watching Netflix at the same time on the same computer, so that's probably why. But I get Final Cut, I get just as many like little glitches and freezes as I did in Premiere, but it does fully crash less. Although it still does like daily, so I don't know. All software sucks. Helen Tam says, is the 6600 good enough for video making? I'm planning to upgrade. As for software, is Skylum a better choice than Photoshop? 6600 is a fantastic camera for video making. And as far as Skylum better than Photoshop, I don't know if I'd go that far. Photoshop is like a deep piece of software. Like you can do a lot with it if you learn it in and out. Skylum might be easier to learn though, so that one's up to you. All right, I need coffee. I'm talking too much and not drinking coffee enough. We got 65 people in the chat right now. Welcome to anyone who's just joining us. If you are just joining us, make sure to leave a like and say hi in the chat. Let me know where everybody's coming from. I love seeing all the places where people are tuning in from. Paul Feinberg says the A6100 is on sale right now. Solid camera $598. Dude, that's a crazy deal. The 6100. I think a couple of people posted videos about the 6100 recently. It's pretty crazy. Mr. Camera Junkie says, been giving DaVinci a spin. Yeah, I want to do that next. After I get stuck on Final Cut and forget everything else, I'll go over to DaVinci and start all over again. One more question. Ever shoot Olympus? And if so, any thoughts? I've been eyeing the EM10. I haven't shot Olympus. Dave Mays did some stuff on Olympus that made me interested though, so I got to check it out more. It's tough because I can't just I could, I guess, try and hit up Olympus and see if they want to lend me, like Fuji just does loaner stuff for reviewers and stuff. So that would be cool. All right, we got the places coming in. We got Baltimore. Jay's from Baltimore. Boxing Guy says, wow, the quality of this live is crispy. Thank you for tuning in. We got Singapore. We got another Singapore. Double Singapore. Prince George County. I don't know what MD is. What's MD? St. Lucia in the Caribbean. We got Hollywood, Florida, Boston, Idaho, Ontario. Is that Ontario, California, or Ontario, Canada? I lost my place. Another Ontario. I'm gonna assume that's Canada. My Canadian people. All right. Singapore. Oh, that's the same person. We got you. We know you're from Singapore now. What else do we got? We got Indianapolis, Morocco, Kuala Lumpur, Miami, Orlando. Jeez, all over the place. Tucson, Maryland. Thank you for clearing that up. We got some New Jersey in the house, from the Greek islands, all over. We are global. This is international, people. You guys like my new light? This is how I made the thumbnail for this video. I just held this up above my head, and then oh, sorry, gotta face it the right way. Demon Lion says, I want to live in Canada when I grow up. That's a great decision. Canada's fantastic. We got Israel, Taiwan, Illinois. Lots of people here from all over the place. All right, you guys. I'm gonna give it 1 minute here. Anyone got any quick last minute questions? I think we're kind of coming to a wrap. Today we talked about switching, the idea of switching and how difficult it can be, and how it's a lot more than just like grabbing a new camera or picking up a new piece of software. There's a learning curve. There's everything that goes into all the accessories and that kind of stuff. Demon Lion asks if Canada is safe. I mean, yeah, generally. I think it's got a pretty low crime rate as far as like a lot of places. But there are good parts and bad parts. Rich wants to know if I'm going to switch to PC. Not going to happen. What's the next live video going to be about? Next week, we're going to be editing photos again. So if you keep tuned in to my Twitter and my Instagram, I usually announce it a day or two before, where you can submit your own photos, and then I will edit as many photos as I can in a couple hours there, and yeah. That's what we're going to be doing next week. I've been trying to alternate between editing ones and just talking ones where you guys can ask questions. We got some super chats from John Hill. Coffee money for being late. Thanks for coming, man. Jay, $5 says, good looks on Focusrite, dude. I ended up getting the 2i2. Nice. Finally feel like there's actually a point to owning studio headphones now. Nice. I love the Scarlett series. They're great. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm gonna end it here. If you guys have more questions, tune in every other week, or hit me up on the DMs or on Twitter or whatever. It's at Dunna Did It everywhere. Look out for the video coming out on Monday, all about the Fujifilm X-T4, and we'll see you guys next time.